As fears of a potential US-Iran war rise, sudden and unusual activity at Iran's underground Isfahan nuclear complex has stunned Pentagon analysts, fueling concern that Tehran is hardening key parts of its nuclear infrastructure ahead of a possible clash. New satellite imagery now shows that key tunnel entrances at the Isfahan nuclear complex have been sealed or heavily modified, suggesting an urgent push to shield what lies inside from outside attack. Two of the main portals appear to be completely backfilled or covered, while a third has been reinforced with additional defensive measures that would complicate both bombing runs and ground access. The Isfahan facility is best known for producing uranium gas, the vital feedstock that is pumped into Iran centrifuges, making it a critical link in the country's enrichment chain. These latest findings were published in a detailed assessment by the Washington-based Institute for Science and International Security, a think tank that closely tracks nuclear proliferation risks. The institute notes that, unlike before, there is now virtually no visible vehicle movement around the sealed tunnel access points, hinting that regular surface traffic has been deliberately curtailed. Analysts say the pattern of work strongly suggests that Iran is bracing for potential US or Israeli airstrikes, or even special forces raids aimed at seizing or destroying sensitive nuclear material. By backfilling and fortifying those entrances, Tehran could both blunt the shock of precision airstrikes and physically block ground teams trying to reach any stored enriched uranium deep inside. The report stated, and I quote, "Backfilling the tunnel entrances would help dampen any potential airstrike and also make ground access in a special forces raid to seize or destroy any highly enriched uranium that may be housed inside difficult. It is also possible that Iran could have moved equipment or material into the tunnels to protect them, although this cannot be confirmed." Preparations like these were last observed in the days before Operation Midnight Hammer struck facilities at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Earlier satellite passes had already picked up new roofing and structural work at the complex, raising suspicions that Iran might be conducting secret recovery or reconstruction operations below ground. All of this is unfolding while President Donald Trump presses Tehran to accept a new nuclear bargain, warning that failure to negotiate could leave Iran facing the real threat of military strikes. On February 6, the US and Iran resumed indirect talks in Oman, their first serious diplomatic contact since the intense June 2025 conflict that shook the region. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff headed President Trump's delegation, while Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi led the Iranian negotiating team in Oman. On February 9, Iran's nuclear chief signaled that Tehran is prepared to dilute its stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, stepping it down if a broader agreement can be reached. In exchange, Iran insists that the sweeping web of sanctions choking its economy must be lifted, providing tangible financial relief and access to global markets. Mohammad Eslami underlined that future enrichment levels depend on whether all sanctions would be lifted in return, tying technical concessions directly to sanctions relief. The IAEA previously reported that more than 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium went unaccounted for after the June conflict, a gap that has deeply alarmed inspectors and diplomats. At the same time, Iran claims that unexploded American bombs and missiles are still lodged at or near several of its nuclear facilities, complicating cleanup and inspection efforts. Araghchi has said these munitions were dropped by U.S. forces during the 12-day Israel-Iran war, framing them as lingering evidence of unlawful attacks on civilian nuclear sites. According to Araghchi, Tehran has formally briefed IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi about the unexploded ordnance and its potential safety and verification implications. Even as negotiators sat down in Oman, U.S. forces have continued to flow into the Middle East in quiet, measured waves, building up combat power out of public view. Reports say Washington is finalizing preparations for a possible confrontation with Iran, keeping military options ready even while the diplomatic track remains open. Additional transport aircraft have been flying into regional bases, joined by 6 advanced F-35 fighters and extra tanker planes to extend their reach if needed. U.S. aircrews are also rehearsing intensive aerial refueling and long-range strike profiles over the Gulf, practicing the exact missions that would be required in a major air campaign. So even as talks continue on paper, the steady military buildup underscores a parallel track of pressure, reminding Tehran that diplomacy is unfolding under the shadow of force.
25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.